day's a day, a bad luck's always a coming my way.
If you're a fan of horror movies, or if around Halloween you're one of the folks who makes these posts on social media about Halloween and black cats and witches and pumpkins and stuff like that, you probably have seen this photo. Or how about this photo? Or maybe you've even seen this cute photo of a black cat wearing glasses. Well, there's a story behind these pictures. Back in 1962, a movie came out directed by Roger Corman starring Vincent Price, Peter Lorre, and Basil Rathbone called Tales of Terror. 3 tales that are kind of based on the stories of Edgar Allan Poe. Well, in 1961, there was an audition held here in Hollywood for Black Cats, for a segment that is based off of the Black Cat.
Every drop of blood feels the freezing paralysis of fear, almost stopping your heart, as Edgar Allan Poe unfolds his tales of terror. Then you'll enjoy the Black Cat's sardonically humorous tale. It all started at the Vintners Convention, where the lover of wine met the professional wine taster and introduced him to his wife, a darling who delighted in dalliance.
What kind of a man are you anyway? Make love to my wife and doesn't even talk to me.
You're insane.
That may be, but very clever.
Help! Help! Help!
Now, for that strange Hollywood audition, there was something like 150 black cats that showed up, maybe more. And it was very well documented by a photographer named Ralph Crane, who is kind of a legend when it comes to Life magazine. Vincent Price was here, Peter Lorre was here, and each of them had their picture taken with the different cats. And they were looking for that perfect black cat, a black cat with a grumpy face. And out of, let's call it 150, a lot of them were dismissed because they either had white paws or they had white on their nose. But because of Ralph Crane's photos, we were able to track down the exact sidewalk that they were standing on. All the cats were lined up right here, and it took me forever to find it. But the address is 650 North Bronson, right here in Hollywood, and we're gonna line up shots. Now, before we go any further, I'd like to point out that Jessica and I, we do not have a cat, let alone a black cat. We want one, we'd love to have a pet, but we just travel way too much. Someday, it'll happen. We reached out to all of our friends asking if they had a cat, a black cat, or if they knew somebody who had a cat, and nobody that we know has a black cat. So we couldn't have a black cat here. How many times can I say a black cat? Well, this video is about a black cat, 150 of them. Maybe it's 152, probably more. Back to the story. Probably one of the most well-known pictures, and what I mean by that, the one that you usually see on social media, was taken from right about here. You can see the ledge on the wall right there. The windows match up. I'm going to point out a few other things along the building a little bit later on. The trees are different. They've been replanted, but the sidewalk, the grass, everything just kind of is in the right spot. Now, this is not perfect by any means. Keep in mind, this is 1961 whenever the original pictures were taken, but from right about here, you can see that tree on the right-hand side. You can see this little graded area right here. You can see the windows, but more importantly, if you look further down the sidewalk, you can see the windows change in the second half of the building. Pay attention to those, and then look at this photograph. Pretty neat, right? Man, I love walking history. And then if Black Cat Auditions weren't weird enough, Hollywood, of course, gets a little bit weirder. We get different close-ups of some of the cats with their cat owners. And they're fun. From right about here, we get a good shot of the people in the line with their cats, like this lady here holding her cat, normal enough. Trust me, they get a little stranger. You got this guy here with a very cool hat with his cat on his shoulder. Notice the cat over there on the ledge. This lady here, she has a hat which is just as fluffy as her cat. This one here, one of my all-time favorites with the glasses. Keep in mind, this is 1961. About this little kid here, it reminds me of the Three Amigos, right? The cat is like ready for auditions. But ultimately, this guy with the glasses and the hat and the cigar, just chilling out and waiting to go. And then lastly, the cat in the purse. Man, I love it. If you're watching this, it might be a little bit difficult to pinpoint this photo, but standing here and walking the wall, there's a picture that was taken right here of a cat who just did not seem like he wanted to be there for the audition. He didn't want that fame, I guess, if you will. Again, the photographer that took these pictures back in 1961, his name was Ralph Crane. And it's funny because every time that I go online to try to find pictures of this, it always seems like I see more, like I find one other one. Now, we can't go inside the studios to try to figure out where Vincent Price and Peter Lorre were set up, where they themselves were photographed with the cats. But I can show you the door. There's a couple other photo locations up there. It looks like when Ralph Crane was here taking pictures, he actually walked the line. I mean, we do that too whenever we're filming like a line going into a haunted house or something, just to kind of document everything. And we know this because there are pictures from the opposite end facing up this way as well. Now, right up here at the end of this building, which would have been the front of the line, is the security office for the studio that's here now. And it's changed quite a bit. When we get up there, I'll show you what I'm talking about. So see how it says security, then 650. Again, we're at the corner of Melrose and Bronson. Now, if we look at those hedges right there, just past the wall, there used to be a wall that extended out here, and there were actually a couple different pictures of cats on this wall. Now, I don't know if that is the stage, the sound stage that they were in. More than likely, they would have walked right off the sidewalk and back in there. Pretty neat, right? Again, turning, looking down the cat sidewalk. That's what I'm gonna call it, the Black Cat Sidewalk. Now, what's neat about this, let's say I'm standing right where that old wall used to be, where the cats were on, and I turn the camera and point it at this apartment building. The same apartment building where we started this video. You can actually see this building faintly in the background. Pay attention to the doors and the windows on the first floor. I know, this video isn't that long, so I figure since we're not that far from Hollywood Forever Cemetery, we should go and pay our respects to actor Peter Lorre, who can be seen in the photos with the cats and Vincent Price. Now, sadly, Vincent Price, he was cremated and his ashes were scattered at sea. So we can't go visit him, but Peter Lorre, he's at a very beautiful place. It's kind of fitting. Hollywood Forever Cemetery is kind of like our home away from home. We live very close to it, but it's still a little too far that we can't drive to it. But it's a nice little spot to come down here on the weekend and just kind of take it in. Now, Peter Lorre is interred inside the Cathedral Mausoleum here, and it's absolutely gorgeous. You ready to go inside? Well, it looks like they're doing some restoration work in here. I can tell this because of the scaffolding that's at the very end of the hallway here. And there's even some plaster on the left-hand side on the floor. Now, Peter Lorre's final resting place is over here to the right. As soon as you come in here, take the last corridor to the right. It's not a very big mausoleum. I don't know if you can hear it, but weekend yoga at Hollywood Forever Cemetery is happening right now. And just at the end of this hallway, on the other side of the stained glass, is where they're having it. I can hear the music. And Peter Lorre is right over here in this little alcove. There's some pictures of him right there. Actually, if you do come to visit Peter Lorre, you can see his picture right there in the center, but where his ashes are right there to the right in the corner. Peter Lorre, 1904 to 1964. And right below him, Anne Marie Lorre, 1922 to 1971. She was Peter's third wife. So they are here together. And right below her nameplate is a picture of Peter, Anne, and I'm guessing that's Catherine, Peter's only daughter. And here's a closer look at the pictures of Peter Lorre in that little cutout, right by his final resting place. It's a nice little spot. Aside from the yoga that's playing in my ear on the right-hand side, it's pretty peaceful. And with that being said, thank you for joining us on another Grimm adventure, this time tracking down the exact sidewalk where the Black Cat auditions for the 1962 movie Tales of Terror, starring Vincent Price and Peter Lorre and Basil Rathbone, and then visiting the final resting place of Peter Lorre himself. Until next time, happy Halloween.
Wherever I come, bad luck just comes my way. Wherever I go, hard luck is there to stay. Good luck never stays a day. Bad luck's always coming my way.